also the notes will be put in the LMS of ACHRP portal, which I believe all of you are members. If you are not, you can ask them how to log into the portal, and you can be able to view the notes and other past webinars that have been held, so for interaction. So before I introduce myself, I'd like us to start with a word of prayer. I think it's always good to commit the webinar to the Lord and the day to the Lord. I'm sure you've all prayed in your respective places when you woke up, but I think a joint prayer from all of us. Who would like to pray for us? Would like to volunteer to pray for us, please? Any taker?
Yes, Catherine, my name is Beatrice. Good morning, everyone. I will take us through a word of prayer this morning.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Let us pray. Father, in the name of Jesus, we come before you this morning with thanksgiving. Thank you, Father, for you are holy. Thank you for holding up even during these very difficult times, oh dear Father. Thanks for the smiles that I can already see. Thank you for the willingness to learn, oh dear Father. Father, we place everyone present here this morning, and even those who may be joining us a bit later, before you, oh dear Father, that you may bless each one of us, Lord. We come here seeking for knowledge. May we go back with full baskets. For our trainers, all of them, Father, those we have already met and those who are yet to join us, we pray for them, Lord. Give them words from you, give them wisdom from you, so that they are able to trickle this knowledge down. Bless the day for us, give us good health, give us happiness. In Jesus' name we pray and believe. Amen.
Thank you very much, Beatrice. Nice, yeah, thank you. So you can unmute yourself and say hello, hello. The ones who are still on the panelists who have not joined to this side, when Dan or myself request you to come on this side, it's because we want you to unmute yourself, share your experiences. And one thing I also do know and really appreciate and do take recognition of is that people are busy. And sometimes we might be multitasking in the background. So I do appreciate that. But I think it's also important to just say what is important for me. You know, I multitask. Am I listening? Am I getting the points? Am I contributing? You know, so that we can have the experience, we can share our skills, we can network with each other, and we can go out better professionals to add on to our careers, and also maybe in the marketplace, wherever you are, whether you are working full-time, whether you are consulting, whether you are looking to go back into employment, whichever place you are right now, I think it's important for us to be able to fully participate. We really had a wonderful time at the 5th or the 6th annual symposium in Naivasha. We had a great time, and we talked a lot about mentoring, about coaching. And I guess this is one of the things that when we listen as the facilitators, what do people want to listen? What are people looking at in terms of the best practices right now? And we thought that this was really a timely webinar for us to hold. So very grateful that I'll be your facilitator this morning. So for those who have not met me, I'm a HR professional. I'm also in finance, and I've been in HR maybe for the last many years. I even stopped counting, over 20 years, about just to retire, by the way. And I love training. I love facilitating training. I love lecturing as well. I'm a coach, and I coach at all levels. I coach C-suite, I coach middle management, I coach, and I also coach a very dear group to my heart. And those are the people with disabilities, especially the blind people. We run some programs in the blind schools in this country, and I do a lot of coaching at that level, and also a lot of mentoring. So when Dan asked me, will you facilitate this? It was no brainer, because it's something that I really enjoy doing. I also lecture coaching at the College of Human Resources. So if you're doing your CHRP, if you have done your CHRP, maybe you've interacted with me in one of the classes, and some guest lecturers in the other universities and stuff like that. So great. So let's continue. And let's share, let's see demystifying coaching, mentoring, counseling, training, things that are interrelated. We will look a lot about mentoring today. We'll infuse it with a lot of coaching as well, so that it's really demystified and very well articulated. So, okay. So 2 days of good learning and good laughter and good takeaways. That's what I'm hoping for, that we also connect in a level that we're able to interact and help each other grow in our careers. So you can unmute yourself and say, what are your expectations today? When you thought about, I want to attend this webinar, what was really your expectation? What do you hope to get away from this training? Feel free to unmute yourself. Feel free to unmute yourself. Anyone?
Good morning.
Morning, Nancy. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thanks.
So for me, I've done a course on coaching from the Academy of Executive Coaching in the UK through Career Connections.
Oh, fantastic.
So for me, so for me is to learn more and to see how the coaching world is evolving and to plug into that so that I can improve on my coaching experience. Thank you.
Fantastic. Nancy, which cohort were you in?
Which one? The third, I think. I did in 2013. 2013.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I was in the 13th cohort. So you must have done
when
it
did
much
you do?
earlier.
When did you?
I graduated in 2016.
Okay, maybe not the third, but I can't remember the cohort, but I went through coaching in 2013. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Also through Career Connections, AEAOC in the UK. That's what you did?
Yes.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. Fellow coach. So great. Yeah. So you can always, yeah, it's really nice. Are you practicing more? Are you putting in your hours?
Just at the workplace, but I've not been reporting. So also I want to accumulate hours and get certified and all that.
Yeah,
so I've
fantastic.
been coaching, but I've not been reporting. Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, that's important. That you'll get many people here. So
yes.
I think it's a skill. If you don't, and you know that it's a skill, so we have to keep practicing and stuff. And, but if you are doing it at the workplace, kudos, good for you. Fantastic. Thank you, Nancy. You see how coaches connect, and we're all coaches here, because I believe one way or another, we use our coaching skills all the time, every time, not just at the workplace. You can use coaching with your friends. You can use coaching at the family level, in the society level. So it's as easy as ABC. It's a skill that we can all learn. Someone else? Expectations, takeaways. Expectations, takeaways. Yes, Beatrice?
Yes, Catherine, thanks so much. It's a great opportunity for me. I've been looking at getting into the coaching field. The last 1 year, I've been thinking about it. And I love the way you have introduced it, that we are using our coaching in many other areas, in the society, in the family. Once in a while, you find yourself doing this. I'm one person who has done my master's in HRM, but I've not gotten an opportunity to practice it, because I'm also in the development world. I'm a project development person, that's my specialty, but also with a lot of interest in HRM. And thinking about it the other day, I thought, I always find myself here or there coaching one or the other thing. I'm also in counseling. So I've really had a lot of interest in coaching, and that's what really brought me here, just to get to hear more about it. Most probably that will push me to going for the accreditation and practicing it more often. Thank you so much.
Yeah, especially if you are leading teams, how do you use coaching? How do you mentor? How do you make sure that your teams are really being self-sufficient. They're sustaining that capability, and they are also feeling empowered. Yeah, well done. Okay, I saw someone else raise their hand. Did I see someone else? Or did I see?
Hello, morning.
Morning, yeah.
I'm Redempta Sambi Mutisia.
Yeah,
I work with the
welcome.
Catholic Archdiocese of Mombasa. I'm a HR officer. I'm waiting to graduate December on my bachelor's. The reason as to why I joined this training, especially in my organization, we normally have the interns in different departments. So through this training, I think it helped me to be able to engage and also coach them, mentor them to the areas they required. Thank you.
Fantastic. Yeah. Development world, a lot of interns who come to support the programs, a lot of volunteers. So how do we take them to the next level to be able to be experts in what they are doing, to gain the confidence to enter the world of work, and even when you look at your own journey, who has helped you, who unpacked you, I like to use that word, to get to where you are, who held your hand, and you look back and say, was it not for that person, I would not be where I am. And it can be in anything, it's not just professional, it's something that they really held your hand, showed you the way, or they just told you, believe in yourself, you're able to do it, and they let you go. Someone else? Anybody else? Did I see a raised hand? Felicitas, yes.
Yes. Good morning, Catherine and everyone. Thank you for this meeting. I'm also in the HR field, working with a bank. So I think for me, the reason why I'm interested in this training is because we have a lot of young people at the workplace right now. I think most of our people are either millennials or Gen Z. And they are a very special group. We want to, just to know how better to deal with them, how better to mentor them, and, just even create that patience of staying in a job. Yeah, because they are very quick to turn, if they're not coming in, they don't call, they don't, that kind of behavior. So maybe just to know how better to deal with them.
Exactly. Thank you. Yeah. We are working across 4 generations now. There's a lot ongoing. I even stopped when millennials was there. I stopped counting. Even Gen Zs, they came. They're still there. After that, there will be Gen something. They want different things. They look at life very differently. The expectations, I don't want to say their sense of entitlement. I think that is misplaced and sometimes wrongly used. But they just want different things that maybe the baby boomers look at them and wonder, we never used to do those things. We shouldn't be doing those things. But the things are evolved, and how can we make sure that they still the productivity, the gig economy is here, the 4th industrial revolution is already here. It was propelled much more based on the fact that we had a pandemic last year, and we just needed to make sure that how we're using technology to leverage on our resources, on our people, on what we are expected to do. So I totally do understand the younger generation and how they want to be articulated. Okay, great. So those are great expectations. I'm already excited. I see we're in the same frame of mind, and everybody willing to really contribute and to see where we can do. So I won't read my way of just interacting is more of posing questions, reflecting, us having a discussion, and then wrapping up on the notes as we go. Makes really it more interactive, and really us being able to participate, and also really taking away the learning, because if we use the 70-20-10 approach of learning, and I'm sure you all know it, then it's easier for us to really own it, and we remember it more, and it becomes more of a habit that we can take forward. So once upon a time, I was in a bus, and in fact, the other day I thought, I can't see buses anymore. Are there buses? Are there buses anymore? So I was in a bus going home, And I was in a bus going home, and I had two guys at the back talking about a vacancy in a certain company. And well, I was seated in front and they're talking. So either you can call it that I was dropping in their conversation, but anyway, it's open and whatever. So because you're always looking for jobs after university, I decided, even me, if there is a job there and I think that is a good company to work for, I will apply for that job. And I actually applied for that job, and lo and behold, I got the job. It was during those days of the post office, where you go to the post office, post the letter, you hope that it's going to be delivered. I think they were more trusted those days, the post office. I think even now, I think they've become better. You post the letter, you wait, you go back to the post office after maybe 2 weeks, and voila, I get a letter for inviting me to go for an interview. I go for the interview, and I worked in that company for 10 years. So I'll tell you about my journey in that company for 10 years. But before that, I'm talking about mentoring and how I got into coaching and stuff like that. And I would like people to contribute and see how people have really helped them in their journeys. So when I left university, we are all, it started becoming a bit hard to get jobs, and we all wanted to work for the government, and we went applying to the public, what was it called? Public, those days, what is it called? That, the body that, PS, what? Public service something, recruitment agency. Anyway, we applied, we didn't get. Some of my friends got, and they're still there doing very well. Some of us fell off the wayside. So I got this job. And my first job, it was a clerical job, and finance, I'm doing that. And I'm just thinking, is this all there is in this world of work? And even the money, I can't remember whether it was a lot, or of course it was not a lot, but well, it was something. One day, while I was working very hard and minding my own business, Dr. Manu Chandaria called me, Catherine Wamwangi. Manu called me, and whoever has maybe been on this, whatever, I like to have this story because it's the one that propelled my career to the next level. So Manu called me and told me, young girl. I said, yes, whatever. And he said, I'm looking at doing a research. And I said, oh, what kind of a research? And he said, I want to do a research on medical schemes and pension scheme. What do I know about medical and pension? Who cares about medical and pension when you're 23 years? Or what you're thinking is that maybe, well, I want to do my master's. I want to have a bit of good life. That's not the basis of what it is. Ask any 23, 24, 26-year-old what kind of benefits their company gives them. They don't know. They have no idea. Ask 35, I got an idea, I've got a medical for my family. What are the limits? I don't know. I have to go and ask HR. Ask a 43-year-old working in your company what kind of benefits they have. They will tell you the limits. And because at every stage of life, your outlook and what you need is very different. 46, you know that I'm about to start retiring. I must know what it is. My medical is very important. I cannot burst the limit. I have this maybe pre-existing illness and stuff like that. People know. After 43, people are very well self-aware of the benefits. I'm saving this amount in my pension and stuff. 23 doesn't care. So let's go back to my 23-year-old story. So I went around the many companies Manu has. There were about, I think, 23 during that time. And I interacted with people of my generation, of my age, people, my parents, and a bit older. And of course, the disparity and me understanding of what it is and the benefits, that I got myself in HR. And Manu became my mentor for many years. Until today, I sit in a board that Manu supports less privileged children to go to university from 1 after standard 8 and stuff like that. We're just from that exercise now. So looking back, I owe it to him just being able to see my capability, telling me this is what you do, this is what it would be. And of course, he told me, you can report to these people, to these people, to these people. But in terms of really looking at him, in terms of how do you build a business? How does it work in the workplace? How have you been able to be where you are? You know, I took advantage, and it was by sheer luck. I can tell you, by sheer luck of what it is. And I took that opportunity, and I look back and said, well, a great mentor. And of course, I took up other mentors as well, went along, have a mentor even now, have a coach and stuff like that. Fast forward, so I got into this company. I left Manu working. I mean, I told him, bye, see you in another lifetime, but we still kept in touch. Got into this company, which was very high in terms of mentoring and coaching, not very high on coaching. Coaching wasn't very fashionable then, but I got into a lot of mentoring. So we'll talk about mentoring. So fast forward, just this past week, I got a call from a group of students who wanted just a pep talk around telecom industry and what is happening there. And what was really profound in that discussion, when we set up the meeting, virtual meeting, we had said we have, let's brainstorm for 40 minutes to see what it is. We ended up having that meeting for 2 hours. And it's engineers who have finished university, the same age group of 23, 24. And some of the things basic questions that I asked, they were not able to articulate or even explain. They said, no, we didn't come across it the 5 years of our engineering class. And do you know this is happening in the telecom industry? They said no. And then I was just like, but where are you looking for information? And they couldn't, we saw a big disconnect, and we agreed there's a big disconnect compared to what's happening at the university, and we all agree, to what's happening at the place of work. But in between here, what are we doing as professionals to make sure that we try and bridge these gaps for the student, making it very a reality in terms of what is out here. Leave the principles. They'll understand the principles of engineering and stuff like that. But in between the best practices that are here and the reality that is out in the market, there's a big disconnect. And of course, if they don't get an opportunity to go for real internship that is in their area of learning, then they get very disadvantaged. My challenge to you as we start this webinar is that, are you able to take groups of students to be able to paint for them the reality of the real workplace? It's not to tell them, just to paint and gauge their mind that in school, are you hearing this? In school, are you hearing this? In school, have you heard of this? Where is this? And point them to those opportunities and maybe research and stuff like that. Because I was just like, there's a very big disconnect, and I was very whatever about it. In fact, I thought, can I be given some time just maybe to go to the university, maybe one lesson and take it up and say, well, in the world of work, and I know many people are doing that. And all of us, I'm sure, can relate with one way or another, people who have actually coached you and mentored you in that area. So that's my story. Anybody who'd like to give their story? What you have seen, what you have witnessed, what some of the priorities that have come your way, who has helped you in your journey? Even a stranger? Anyone? 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 No? Anyone? Come on, be brave. Brave is one of the strong values that we should have. Confidence. Anyone? And maybe it didn't work. Maybe it didn't work. Maybe it worked. Anyone? Okay. So we will look at interchangeably. We know at the place of work, when I see JDs, I see ability to mentor and coach, isn't it? And then sometimes it finishes with any other duty. And I'm saying, which other duty would you be giving me? Yeah, old and retarded, but anyway, it still comes there. Difference between mentoring and coaching, anyone? What do we think mentoring is? What do we think coaching is? Who has a mentor?
Okay, I'll go.
Yeah.
So when you mentor someone, usually it's through someone with the same skill, trying to pass down this skill and experience to the mentee. But when it's coaching, it's not a must that the person coaching you to be of the same field or the same industry. Coaching is all about enabling the coachee to think and to come up with solutions themselves. So the coach acts as a guide. You'll ask questions, and then it is the coachee to come up with solutions to these particular problems that they're facing. And also you guide them on how to achieve in terms of milestones, timelines, and then they'll come up with that, and then you hold them accountable.
Very true. Very well articulated. Thank you, Nancy. A coach will never tell you what to do. You don't have to be in the same field with your coachee or your client. Totally different. You can coach a farmer. You can coach a neurosurgeon. You can coach a teacher. You can coach anyone. You don't have to be in that skill. But you also, you must have some interest. When someone tells you, I'm a farmer, I believe for you to become a good coach is ability to plug in quickly and to be able to understand that industry. So if you are someone who does not like to read a lot and research, I'm not saying you make a bad coach, not at all. You just, you need to add that flavor, that's what I mean, to your coaching. What's happening in the farming industry? Where did the locusts go? You get something like that. It's a question. I mean, how can we have different fruits in this season, different vegetables in this season, flowers bloom in autumn and stuff like that, So things that, whatever, just keeping current. How the market, when they say they're middlemen, what do middlemen mean? Stuff like that, just to understand what it is and to be able to do that. And I'm talking about that because the other day I got a call, Kring, Catherine, who are you? Yeah, I've been referred to you. I'm a farmer. I want to be coach. Farming? You want to be coach? And I'm just thinking, oh, okay, and of course you can't judge. And then yeah, even farmers are here and it's a big farmer and stuff like that. A very typical farmer of what it is, but taking it to the next level. So thank you, Nancy. In terms of, I don't have to be, I just ask you questions. I research a little bit more so that we can be able to engage and connect, and for you to make sure that you're coming up with your own solution. Someone else who has a mentor, do you have a mentor or do you have a coach? Do you have a coaching program at your place of work or a mentoring program at your place of work? Do you have policies that point out? Do they form part of your KPIs? Things that we want to make sure that we get going as professionals. Anyone? Anyone? Anyone else would want to share with us? You can raise your hand as we go by. Okay. So why should we mentor people? And so mentoring, we say, is that it's an expert who actually coach, who mentors someone who is not an expert in that area. You can say, I want to be a HR expert, and you pick someone who you admire, who's a real good HR expert, who has the knowledge, the experience, and then they will show you the ropes. They will tell you the good, the bad, the ugly of what it is. This is how you do it. This is how I've managed to do it. These were some of the challenges that I faced. This is how I surmounted the challenges. And this is how you do not get into that pit. And they will even tell you, even if you try it 100 times, I can tell you that does not work. I have tried it, tested, and stuff like that. And they will encourage you and show you the ropes. They'll even point you to other people who can be able to support you and help you. So, and mentoring does not mean it's just career mentoring. You can get a mentor. You have a hobby that you would like to perfect, and you know someone who does it very well, and you come and say, are you able to mentor me? I really want to become good at what it is. So mentoring can be in any area that you feel that you really want to acquire that skill, and you know this person has that skill, and they will be able to get that, they will be able to help me. At the workplace, how does it work? How does it work in terms of mentoring? Is it rather obvious that the supervisor has the skills, then they can automatically mentor the team that they are supervising?
Catherine, sometimes it doesn't have to be mentoring, doesn't have to be directly through your supervisor. It could be through any other person from any other department who have skills that you want to acquire. So in this case, you're talking about maybe you're working in this particular department, you want to probably gain skills to work in another department. It could be lateral or, vertical. You're looking at vertical, positions or lateral positions, but in another department. So where I have worked, we identified mentors, people who are skilled enough in that particular industry. I used to work for an e-commerce industry. So you pick the mentors. So we had a list of mentors, and each mentor was supposed to have a maximum of 3 mentees. So there's a list there, and then you as a staff, you know what you want to gain from this particular mentor. So then you pick. So they would go through mentoring, and then they would exchange notes with the management after a month. Just to check if the mentoring relationship is working and if they're gaining anything. And also we check with the mentors just to check if there's commitment on the part of the mentees and the milestones that they are achieving, and if they're becoming better or not. So these relationships would terminate at a specific, probably after 3 months. We do, probably 3 months, and then we would change again. So have other mentors or have other mentees. If these mentors are still interested in continuing to mentor, because it also requires a lot of dedication and work, then they can probably step out. Or if they want to continue, then they continue, then the mentees change. So it is time specific, it is time bound. And also the objectives are very clear. What is it that you want to achieve? Some of these objectives are gotten from a performance appraisal. So we link it to that. You are not performing well in this area. So what do you need? How can the organization empower you to be able to deliver effectively? So then we pick out from that, and others are just, others are not performance based. Others just want to be mentored because of career growth. And others, we put them through mentorship program so that they can be able to bridge to bridge the performance gaps that they could be having.
Fantastic. That's really good. So just a quick question. Did you ever find that the mentors were taking too much time mentoring, and they were not able to perform their day-to-day responsibilities? Was there a disconnect between performance and mentoring?
The first part of the question.
Was there too much? Did the mentors take too much time to the detriment of their work?
No. They would schedule it at times when it was convenient for them. So it works in such a way that it doesn't interfere with their work, because they also have their KPIs to meet. So there's no way you'll come back to your boss or to the company to say that you've not met this particular KPI because you've been mentoring. So they just have to schedule it in a way that is convenient for both. They could do mornings, they could do weekends, even just during the day, but just for a few minutes. But it doesn't affect the quality or the output of their work, because then it negates the entire a benefit that the company would like to see. So there has to be that delicate balance of imparting knowledge and of the mentor and the mentee continuing to perform optimally.
Very true. I think one of the things that we need to be very cognizant of is that these programs should form part of our culture, should be very deliberate in how we mainstream them. And if we take them as part of our strategy in terms of growth for our people, our human capital, for our business, our bottom line, then we should embrace them. And how do we make sure that the time, whether we allocate it, it's part of my 5 to 8 deliverables, and nobody should look at me, a manager should not look at me, or my line manager should not look at me and say, oh, you're spending all my time, all your time mentoring or coaching or stuff like that. Very deliberate, because it's part of process. It's part of performance culture in your organization. It's not like, oh, today, all of this week, I'm going to put on the mentoring hat, and you leave it. And after 3 months, you put it all again. I've had the mentoring hat, come one, come all, it's every day. And we want to see how mentoring and coaching really, if it's inculcated as a culture in your organization, really helps propel your organizational growth. So those programs must be put in place. And why do you put those programs in place? There could be 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 reasons as to why, and also help in your succession planning, helps in talent pool, helps in your retention. There are all these advantages that we'll continue discussing and making sure that that is there. Is there a role, should a line manager, is the line manager's role to mentor his team? Yes or no? Is that one of his key deliverables? You can raise up your hand, you can type yes or no, you can put it on the chat. What is your take? What's the line manager's role in helping their team?
It should be their role. It should be a key deliverable to managers, because as a manager, you are skilled in this particular area. And for example, you're talking about you are head of HR where you're working. You have your HR officers, you have your HR assistants. So how will you get them to deliver? People have different experiences, and others even come into the workplace without any experience. So it is you as the line manager to show them what to do, to guide them, and to develop standards on deliverables, basically. So I think it's key that line managers should mentor their direct reports.
Yeah, thank you, Nancy. Anyone else? Line managers should mentor and coach their direct reports. Anyone? I totally agree with you, Nancy, that line managers have the responsibility of coaching and mentoring their teams for them to be where they should be, and to share, the line manager to share their expertise and their skills so that everybody is at par. And a line manager who does that becomes very, very successful. And a line manager who does that actually just thinks about strategy and motivating their team, because they know that these people can do exactly what is expected of them, and they can even maybe do my work. But if you are those line managers who are wishy-washy, I don't want to coach, I don't want to mentor because people will become better than me and they will take my job, you'll never be successful in coaching and mentoring your people. Catherine, I saw your hand raised.
No, sorry, that was in error.
Okay, that's fine. But what do you have to say about mentoring and coaching? Managers doing mentoring and coaching?
Sure, you have, as a mother, you have to mentor, you have to coach. I remember at any one time, you should always have someone who can do all. I keep saying a good manager will always have someone who can step in. But since when we are very protective of, we have this thing, take care of your job, then you don't want to tell everything. Then it becomes very unfortunate when you're not the one can do what you're supposed to.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the insecurities that come with it, there's enough for everyone, and make people better than you are. I think that's a great legacy and a great way to look at it, because then you have nothing to lose, you have everything to gain. A win for one is a win for all. A great mantra to live with, and I don't know why people never want to share that. Anyway, depending on the kind of culture that you have in the organization, also depending with the kind of person you are, and that's why it's important even at recruitment stage for you to pick up all these kind of things. Is this someone who will mentor? Is this someone who will coach? Is this someone who is willing to make sure that their team is better than them? And what kind of personality do they have? Do they resonate with our values and our culture? Things so that to make sure that when you have all these things right and you know that they're expected to do that, then you can ask the hard questions. We expected you to do this, you expected to do this, but you're not doing it. Where is the problem? How can we help you? Where is the challenge? Where can we help you to make sure that that is done? And it's part of their KPIs anyway. So why do we mentor people? Why do we coach people? To engage employees in a disciplined review of their performance and overall organizational talent, guide development activities of staff, bring HR systems into alignment, because HR is one of the the function of mentoring and coaching is really anchored in HR, because then they are the technical people who know how to mainstream those kind of programs. And of course, assure continuity for key positions, your critical positions in your organization. And my question is, have you mapped out your critical positions in your organization? Develop an efficient workforce by enabling decision makers to look into the future performance levels of employees and the organization. What are we putting in place? We are putting all these programs in place. We are spending time, money, and resources to make sure that everybody is being mentored and everybody is being coached. But also, ultimately, we also want to make sure that we can hold you accountable to your performance. We can stretch you a little bit more for us to be able to see that the performance levels in the organization continue to rise, for us to be able to be the company of choice, to assure new managers are prepared, for the jobs, to focus on organizational effectiveness, to avoid daily work-related transactional problems. So let's dwell here to ensure that new managers are prepared for their jobs. How do we promote managers at our workplaces? How do we promote people? What criteria do we use? What criteria? When you think about it, or even what you have heard, what you have seen, how do we promote people at the workplace?
Usually it's based on performance, and there's also a tool called a 9-grid box that measures performance and potential. So you can Google it. So depending on where you sit on that 9-grid box, then you can either be developed, you can be observed, or exited if you're not performing. When you sit in the middle, most likely you'll be developed. When you sit on the far right, then you will be developed and stretched. So stretching there means that you will be given more assignments. So mostly it is dependent on performance, and that's the tool that I use to promote. And obviously you, as a HR manager, then you also empower, you impart skills on the line managers so that they're able to identify, what does good potential look like? Someone who has low potential, mid potential, high potential, how does it look like, and how do they fit in this 9-grid box? Again, there has to be consistency in terms of performance. It has to be, someone must be performing very well consistently for them even to qualify for a promotion. It cannot be a one-off, so that
Exactly.
it also it is clear, so that other staff don't see it as favoritism. You can also just engage with staff, and they'll tell you that, okay, this one is a performer, because they're also able to see. So once there's that inclusivity in the entire decision making, then it's successful and it is seen as fair.
Exactly. Seen as fair, inclusivity, transparent, objective. There's a criteria like what Nancy, they use the 9-grid box. You look at consistent performance, and you look at the potential of the person. Very good criteria. Okay. Anybody else? How do we promote at our places of work? What you have seen? Is it picky, ponky? You've been here the longest. La! You deserve it. You are the oldest. Voila! You deserve it. Let's go on. What happens at the workplace?
Yes, Catherine, this is Beatrice again. When you ask that question and everyone is quite thinking, what are our experiences? And well, there could be criteria on paper, but what I have seen the last 10 years in an organization I've worked, it's so absent that I'm not even able to tell whether it's because somebody has been there long, whether they are the best. It's who knows Catherine, and we are done, and we go, and it's done. Very, very unusual things happening. And as HR practitioners, I feel we need to revisit. We need to revisit ourselves. Are we on the jobs just for money? Are we on the jobs because we are professionals? That's my take. Yeah.
Very true. Very true. Criteria is just on paper. And that's why I open this webinar and say, we must be brave HRs. We must embrace the value of brevity. Otherwise, we'll never be able to call a spade, and sometimes I'm not saying it's perfect. It's far from perfect. It's far from making sure, Miss Stucky. Well, if that's what they want, bring Catherine on board, that's fine. Give her the, you're even looking like this. Do you see the way I'm looking and putting my hands like this? Give her the appointment letter, give her the salary they've even said, which is not even within the range. Let her be. Let her go and supervise that team. You feel so deflated and so mismanaged as the person who is doing it. And unfortunately, because you're just thinking, well, this job pays my bills and I'm just here mark timing until I find something else. So what is on paper is perfect. We'll use the 9-grid box, to make sure that we are looking at potential. We have the talent pool. We have performance criteria. This is the criteria even under performance, consistency. This person has potential. But when it comes, no. Give the job to Catherine. We know why. And the question is that we know why you give her the job. So what can we do, as Beatrice has said, to make sure that we make sure that we are using the correct criteria for promoting managers and then preparing them. So what happens is that when we put someone who is not qualified to be in that position, guess who suffers? It's the team that they are coming to supervise, because they are not ready and the team is already feeling very resentful, very demotivated that we've gotten a leader that we were not expecting to get. And then the leader either becomes very defensive and is not able to manage the team. The team either becomes very rebellious or just very aloof. And the manager just uses the best way he knows how to deal with them. And that is really either divide and rule, using fear and terror to manage the team, or just deciding, okay, fine, we can all sink this boat. After all, I'm not going anywhere. If I'm asked, Catherine is not performing, Beatrice is not performing, and those are the troublemakers, they need to go, And we see that there's no development of people. because the criteria used to promote people was not correct. And again, one of the things is that many a times, even when you use these criteria, let's say we even are objective, there is one area that we really don't look into critically and take time. We say, wow, they're very good at their job. Technically, very, 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 very good. They've been here for 5 years. They deserve the promotion. Indeed, they deserve the promotion. You forget to look at the people element skill. You think that is natural to everybody, that they'll be able to provide leadership and management. If that's not one of the criteria that you are looking at seriously in your organization to impact everybody, and that can be done through coaching and mentoring, from the very bottom, from your driver to the CEO, impacting leadership and management skills to your people, then you have a big, 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 big problem around your promotions. Because Catherine is very good technically, she can be able to do the job, but you have not given her the opportunity and the skills and the mentoring and whatever in the area of leadership. So she goes there, she's very good, all what she does, she continues doing the same work that she was doing. She's not moved a notch higher. She's just, okay, fine now, okay, I'm a manager, okay, you've been doing that work, continue, you've been doing this work, you've been doing this work, and me, I just continue with your work. So the growth of Catherine is not there. The growth of the team is not there. It's redundant. It's actually redundant. And you think, okay, fine, we've done a good job. Everybody go, you're supposed to do it. And then you just think, oh, it's very standard. We thought the bar would be raised. And then when you look back, you remember, oh, okay, we don't see her in her true element around leadership and whatever. Then you think, oh, those things were not done. And then you say, well, but I don't know how to lead a team. And then little things about decision making, little thing about conflict management, change, they start struggling with them, and you see, well, it's time for us to be to start coaching and mentoring her in that area. But if you have incremental milestones and stages in your organization, then all these things are in tandem. Everybody is ready. They have the required competencies at every level. And when you look at this potential, the people who have the high potential movers in your organization, you accelerate their learning so that by the time you're promoting them, they have all this in place. Okay. Someone else? Anyone who would like to support that, or a reaction to promotions around people?
Yes, and I would like to add that sometimes you have to fight for things to be done the right way. It is never easy. It is never easy. Sometimes I have to put my foot down, because there's a time my boss, he'd come into a meeting and say, okay, now we are recruiting. I'm looking for a PA who is interested to apply. And, I would just be shocked because, one, I didn't even see that coming, as a head of HR. But, I would confront him, later on, and I would tell him, you're watering down my efforts. We need to link our HR strategy to the overall organizational goals. We have to link these things to performance appraisal, make them see, because sometimes you have managers who've not been managers enough, or they've been working in a smaller space. Now the organization has really grown. They've not developed those skills. Even as you're trying to develop their skills, the organization is growing so fast, more than they are upskilling themselves. So it is a fight. You cannot just, as HR practitioners, we should not just keep quiet and be silent when things are not happening the right way. And yes, he got angry and that I raised that, but then he did not go on with the recruitment. So he can get angry there, but behind his at the back of his mind, he knows that I told the truth. So we must put ourselves, our feet down and correct with respect, and link everything to strategy and all that, so that we can also have a voice in the workplace.
Very true. Link everything to policy, to procedure, to our strategy, and to the objectives that we want to achieve. And if you have someone who is who's a good listener, you know, even in the heat of the moment, get upset, and then they say, oh, okay, fine, I made a mistake and I'm sorry about that. Let's go back to the drawing board and let's reset and let's move forward. I think you have greater chances of success. And how are you saying it? Like, I like what Nancy has said. I'm saying it with respect. I'm respecting your position, and I'm also respecting you as a person. And I want to support you, you know, but if you water down my efforts, this is what it will come to naught, you know. Let me support you to be successful. When you tell managers that, they love it, you know. Allow me to make you successful. So they think, oh, they're going to do all my work. Yes, but I'm not doing your work. I am just making sure that you're following the policy and it is done correctly. So let's talk a little bit about reverse mentoring, especially with, like what Felisa said, the millennials and the Gen X and the Gen Z, you know. So will the new Gens be Zen AA, you know, like the way cars now are they KCZ, or where have they reached? Wherever they've reached in the Kenyan registration system, you know, and then we come, you know, from C we'll go to D, from D we go to E. So when we finish Z, so there'll be K is Z, Gen ZA, whatever it is going to be, reset. How is reverse mentoring, and what is reverse mentoring at the workplace? And why is it happening a little bit more now? And why are we embracing it? Anyone? Anyone? Catherine, Janet, Shayla, Lillian, Redemptor, is that how we pronounce your name? Benjamin, James, you're here, the 25 of us. Please share. Reverse mentoring. Have we heard of it? How is it working? Why is it important for us? Anyone? Anyone? Just as the name implies, reverse. You're reversing. Reverse a car, you reverse your bicycle. Reverse mentoring. Anyone willing to share? Felista?
Let me pass on this one.
Okay. Anyone else? Reverse mentoring? You've heard of it? How are we doing it more in the office? Why is it now widely accepted? Nancy, anything about reverse mentoring?
Yeah, reverse mentoring is when mentorship is bottom up. So basically, a junior support, a junior staff member mentors someone who's senior than them. And it's appreciated because one, there's inclusivity. Everyone feels that they're important in the organization, and their views, they're able to input positively into the organization. Two, people who are younger in the organization can be very brilliant. They can be very brilliant. And actually, Kirubi, the late Kirubi, uses this style a lot. So he's very successful because he surrounds himself with very young people who are very knowledgeable, tech savvy, and all that. And these are the people who actually make him successful, because at some point you cannot cope with everything else that is happening, as you grow older. So when these young people are able to mentor people, older people in the organization, then they bring in a lot of value in the company.
Yeah. I was laughing is because you said bottom up, and I'm just thinking the whole political array of we are going into a bottom up economy and nobody understands it. We can't unpack it. There's always humor in this country and stuff like that. But you're so spot on, that the younger generation are really the ones now coming up and saying, well, this is how. And you will only be able to embrace reverse mentoring at your workplace if you have a culture that embraces agility, innovativeness, and creativity. If you don't have that, you will think that these millennials are actually being self-entitled. You will think that they are too much, you want too much, and maybe you are not reading in between what they are saying, and you are missing those opportunities and chances of what they're saying and how to take your company to the next level. The tech, we must be able to look at our diversity and inclusion programs and say, well, that's really nice. Give them the opportunity to be able to showcase. And especially in the area of tech, they are very good. They're able to put your company on a different pedestal. Well, can you imagine if they're the ones who are making your apps to be able to reach your customers, or your goods and services being able to reach your clients, or whatever it is? They have just a way of communicating. Their communication might not be very crisp and whatever. They can come up feeling like aloof and whatever, but learn to be a bit more patient with these people, because they have a lot to say. And you see, the older ones, are amazed. Where did you learn that from? Say, oh, isn't it also the same? Maybe if you have younger children, teenagers, when you look at their ability to internalize things and to move and to look for solutions in terms of what it is, with your guidance, of course, they come up with solutions. And I think that's what we want. We want people who are very empowered and very independent at the workplace. People need two things at the workplace. They need autonomy. I need autonomy, and they need to be empowered. After that, you create an environment that is robust and people are willing to contribute. But if you're just, no, it's only the top management know it all. They are the ones who can say what goes on in this organization, and you do as I say, and sometimes they even don't do as they say, and there's a big disconnect. There will always be a big disconnect around that. So even change, programs for change, ability to embrace change in those kind of organizations, it's very difficult. But if you are working with these younger people, then and you are willing to embrace their ideas and their thoughts, then it's whatever. Also be the ability to embrace failure makes your organization very agile. Fail quickly, learn the lesson, pick up the pieces and move very fast. Failure is not, it's not a bad thing. And why are we failing? Of course, you can't fail deliberately. You can also not fail, and because then you are trying to cut cash shots, and also you are trying to circumvent the systems in terms of statutory requirements. But if we are developing something, we are working towards it, the results that come out are really not what we expected. What do we learn from it? How can we make it better the next time and be able to that? So embrace reverse mentoring at your workplace. Look at, think of people at the office. Look at what it is. I look at these millennials and just wonder, ooh, really? This is what it is? And engage them a little bit more. Think about their, think and reflect what they are saying. Read in between the lines. It will make you a better manager if you are really, if you're working with the younger generation. Hold their hand, and they will hold your hand as well. Okay. So how do we mentor someone? We say we have a structured program in the organization. Or maybe before I move to this other one, any reaction, any question? Any reaction, any question? No? Okay. So we need to engage the mentee. We need to build a rapport. And this is also in coaching, in tandem, coaching and mentoring, we will use them interchangeably. But remember what coaching is. A coach never gives you any solution. They will expect you to come up with your own solutions and be able to implement those solutions. They will stretch you by asking you the correct questions. While in mentoring on the other side, I'm showing you the ropes, I'm holding your hand. But it's the same. We need to be authentic. We need to have a trusting environment. We need to have an agile environment for us to be able to institute some of these measures at the workplace. So We need to engage the mentee. We need to build a rapport with the mentee, set a strategy and communication tone, go over objectives and growth plan, review and correct performance. Very, very easy. And I'm sure these are some of the things that maybe you do at the workplace. So how do we engage a mentee? How can we engage a mentee? Someone? Maybe you saw that slide. So I come to you. I'd like to be coached. Who has, I would like to be coached or to be mentored. How do we engage a mentee? And how come at the workplace, sometimes we have a pool of coaches? Let's say we've got 6 coaches who have been trained. The company has invested six of us. Let's say Mary is always really, really booked. And Catherine, nobody ever asked Catherine to coach them or to mentor them. What could be the 5? Always people flocking to them, but Catherine, few and far between. In fact, Nile to or maybe HR has said, oh, Catherine is free and okay. And the others are booked for the next 6 months. And I think, well, this coaching is really important. Okay, let me go. Shingo Pande. Why is that so? Why would the 5 be fully booked always? And or even maybe we have coaches in the organization and nobody, and you have external coaches. You have the opportunity. Some organizations who have a bit of more budgets say, okay, fine, you can also go to external coaches. Call, these are the people, let us know. You can take an internal coach or an external coach or an internal mentee or an external mentor, sorry. And people prefer to go to the external compared to the internal. What would be the challenge there? What would be the challenge? Someone? What would be the challenge?
The challenge for having a mentor within is the fact that you're not able to open up completely, because sometimes when the mentors sometimes they are assigned, so it becomes a bit difficult for you to be able to open up completely, to be able to be mentored.
Yeah, open up completely. Maybe is it because you don't trust the people? Is it because the environment is not?
And I say when it is assigned, and that's experience I've had where, when there's a mentoring program, someone says you need to be mentored by so and so. And because it's work and it's a mentoring, you agree. So it becomes a very paper pushing process where you're not, sometimes for a good mentor, you want to let them see your weaknesses so that they can chat you to the right direction. Sometimes you want to be able to call on them anytime. So all those things, you close up, because then it's not, unless of course you actually want that person to mentor you. Otherwise, if it's assigned, it's difficult, but also in the working environment, you close up a bit.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know when we will have perfect working spaces. And there's always something that people don't bring themselves fully to work. Even with this big clamor of let's be vulnerable, you can look at VUCA, all those research that has been done. Let's be vulnerable, let's be humble in our successes. Let's call it what it is. The Catherine you see at the workplace could be a different Catherine you see at home or in a party or something like that. Even when great programs have been put in place, this is open communication, and open communication or open door policy does not mean leaving our doors ajar and open and stuff like that, but really going out and connecting and engaging with those people. Culture really has a big space to play, a big role to play in the area of mentoring and coaching. We will be very we're very surface level. We are not going deep, knee deep. It's very, scratch the surface. I know what it is, but I would rather engage another coach out there. I would rather engage another counselor out there. I would rather engage another mentor out there, because then what we are discussing, and then, well, okay, I will just tell you what you need to hear. As the mentee, I'll tell you just what you need to hear. And the other one, well, I'm trying, and also, okay, fine. This culture wants me to mentor. I don't have time. I don't enjoy it. I don't like coaching and stuff like that. There's the pressure of work. Let's get it out. A big disconnect happens. So until there's that really connection, and then what happens is that you look at your productivity and wondering, okay, we do pretty well, but I think we can do pretty more in terms of connecting with people. If you're not connecting with people, then they will never be able to give it the very, very best that you want. If you are hitting profits of 120, and you think, well, it's really nice, when you really deeply connect, you would be hitting 160. That's the truth of the matter. But because then I don't want people to come into my space, respect my space, I respect your space, then we will just do what is bare minimum of doing work technically, instead of, Catherine, really, I see that you like singing. Oh, let me give you an example. And we all know, we read in the newspaper, my jaw was on the floor. Safaricom actually now has this choir. They've always had a Safaricom choir, isn't it? And someone who knows it a little bit more can tell us here. They've actually now, employees, let's say you are HR, you can actually go and sing full-time. Now you stop doing your work and you go and sing full-time. Can you imagine if your organization did something like that? And just said, you love to sing. It's, of course, part of, I think, because there are ads and stuff and everything, I think it's also connected to work. But can you imagine me not having to do my HR work and run away and think, oh, practice is Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. Oh, those are the days I need to pick my children in school. I have this school thing, But they are telling you, go and sing away. That's your full-time job. Because we see the passion that you have. If you're able to do such kind of things, I was just like, who does this? I mean, they've got the capacity. I guess they can do that. And of course, they've got a couple of, I saw in the article, they've got a couple of other people who can do that. But I was just like really connecting with what people really enjoy doing. I don't know whether it's in infinity, you sing until you retire, or maybe you come back to a place of work. I don't really know. But still, I just thought that's real deep connection. Does your employer know that you like to go hiking? Does the employer know that you love music? And maybe say, wow, we see people love music in this company. Does anybody play instruments? How about us buying some instruments and people can sing over lunch hour and come up? Things that really connect with people, not just about work. So we miss that opportunity because we are not open enough. The environment is not open enough. And also sometimes our personality, our socialization, our experiences also don't allow us to do that. So it becomes really sometimes just on paper, but it's not really being anchored strongly. And we don't see real traction in terms of where we want to be as an organization. Yeah. Anybody else? Thank you for that. Anybody else? How to engage the mentee? Anybody else? Reaction, reviews? Would you like a company that really tells you, just go sing away, play golf the whole day? That's what you enjoy doing, We know how to make sure that it works along our bottom line, our profits, what it means to our people. Anybody else? reaction?
Yes, Catherine, I like that idea of deep connection, which is also really lacking. It's lacking in most areas of work or most organizations, or a number of them. I say a number of them because I've worked with a number of them. And I know I've worked with one that the connection was so strong. And it never mattered, even when we were in the field, you could find people working past midnight and waking up very early to catch the next the next field area before it's late. And I could see it's an organization that was not even paying very well, but nobody wanted to leave because of that deep connection. Coming back to the mentee being mentored, I think also there are people who are just naturals. There are people who connect with others, even on the streets, even in the bus. You find somebody, hey, hi, how are you? And a conversation goes. There are people who are so closed up naturally. Others, I think, are carrying some weight on them. They're not able to open up. So you can imagine a person like that took up mentorship. I'm not very sure many people will run to that kind of a person. So there's that informal connection between each one of us. How do we receive our mentees? How do we start them off? What do they see of us as we walk and as we work? Do they see us just closed up in our office, never saying even a good morning to anyone, and then someone is sent to you, they're wondering, how do I even open that office? How do I even go in? And what do I tell Catherine when I go in? So I think it has quite to do with how you start off with your mentees. What are you in this office? As I was saying, there are some people in the offices who find themselves in every committee, because then they are very outgoing, they are willing, they check on people naturally. Somebody comes down and Catherine goes like, oh, Beatrice, this morning you don't look okay. What could have happened? The others who are like, pop, work on the table. We came here to work, you work, go with your moons and sort yourself out. So I think with mentorship also comes that natural bit of us, or that us being coached to be able to become mentors who understand exactly what a mentee means and how we should start them off. Yeah,
I agree. We need to look at people's personality. And are you, well, I guess it's more natural if you're a people's person. It comes very natural to you, and you enjoy impacting knowledge and being around people. The line manager who has been promoted to be head of a team. So how do we put an introverted line manager to be able to? The introverted, that's their personality. They don't talk a lot. They can connect, but not very warmly. You know, they're not those warm, endearing people, bubbly and stuff like that. But how? Because they're supposed to mentor and to coach. How do we make sure that they have that connection? And it's a deep connection. It's not just on the paper, okay? And people don't want to, they don't feel, you know, it doesn't really matter whether he mentors me or not, you know? And you know what, HR takes the easy way out. They say, well, they will mentor as they have the conversations. They will mentor as the work is being done. They will mentor at the department weekly meetings and stuff like that. That is not it. You need to look at Catherine as an individual and say, what are Catherine's strengths? What are Catherine's weaknesses? How can we capitalize on her strengths? And how can we make sure that her competencies gaps, we continue closing them so that she becomes we build her potential when she's working in this organization. Me as a manager, that's the question that you should be thinking about every day. If that's not the question that keeps you awake at night, then I don't know what would be keeping you awake at night. That's what I tell managers. Have you looked at Beatrice's potential? Where do you see her in another 5 years? It's not Beatrice's, it's Beatrice's responsibility, her ambition, and whatever, but where are you placing Beatrice in another 5 years? Tell me. You know, you've actually selected her to be in the talent pool in the next 3 years. After that, tell me. May I ask those questions? So you've mentored, you've done all this. Tell me about everybody in your department, from the driver, you know, all this, what are you doing? to bring them. And sometimes there could be no position. So we are not saying that I'm looking at there will be the next CEO in another 5 years. Those positions do not exist. However, when opportunities arise, who's ready in your team? And who has great potential? Have you identified your people? And when you do that, which areas are you mentoring them in? Which areas are you coaching them in? Which areas are you making sure that you are deliberately impacting the knowledge that you know and telling them, hey, boss, siende pale, apo, apana. That is the work of the line manager. If you're not telling them that, then it also just now comes around the whole value chain of performance management. And that's where now we start now talking, the rubber has met the road in the area of coaching and mentoring. So that's the work. The work of the line manager is to mentor and to coach and to make sure that they're motivating their teams and they know where each and every member of their team would be headed to. If there is another project coming up in Kathmandu, let's say you're a multinational, and you know that project really, Catherine, is ready for it, you would be the one fighting and saying, no. Someone in Canada, let's say you also a big multinational, I mean, you work in all these countries, I'm just whatever. And I see, hey, Peter is also looking into that. I must make sure that my team member is the one going to Kathmandu because they have asked, they have seen, I have mentored them and they are ready. You know, so those opportunities, even when an opportunity for change, you know, would you pick someone and say they're ready to do that? Think about your team members, think about your company. And when you look at everybody there, do you know their full potential and where they are going to in another couple of years? Anyway, so engage the mentee, build rapport, very important for us to be able to build rapport with our mentors to create the trust. Set the strategy. We have talked about all that and to be able to go there. Please feel free to chime in and just react or just give your input. So engage the mentee, be informal when you start to know your mentee. That was said very well by Beatrice. Engage everyone personally. You know, Catherine, how are you doing? How was your weekend? What do you like to do? You know, whatever. Use appropriate body language, you know, the space, you know. Again, you don't want to be feeling that you're intruding into people's space. So it calls for also emotional intelligence for you to know appropriate body language, because you don't want again to be accused of any bullying or sexual harassment. There's a thin line. These things, you know, workplaces are complex. You know, build a rapport with the mentee. Consider using an icebreaker. You know, give precise instructions. Allow brief announcements. Check engagement for all your mentees. So to make sure that that is being done. Set the strategy and communication tone. Help the mentee and yourself develop ground rules. It's the same, you know, set a stage for an agreement, clarify the role for each of the coach and protege and relationship. You know, how do we make sure that we actually building a communication tone, and what would be a deal breaker? If this happens, this is a deal breaker, it's not going to go on. What are the ethics of your industry? What are the ethics of the coach? We know there are set ethics, and if you go against this, then it's not going to work. You know, go over the objectives and the growth plan, inform mentoring objectives clearly and to everyone. Ask for input on the objectives and growth plan. Plan out any changes to the plan. So the thing is that people just want to be mentored, but they don't want to put in the hard work, isn't it? It's a two-way traffic. If you come to me asking me to coach you or to mentor you, it's a two-way traffic. We've contracted, we've said this is it, you know, even at the workplace, we have said these are the objectives that we need to meet, but I'm stretching you, I'm giving you the opportunity. You go and do it, you go and research, come up with your own solutions. But sometimes a lot of people don't want the hard work. And when we put our foot down, people just think, oh, they're being too hard and stuff like that. But when you look back with someone who is always asking you, where are you at? How are you doing? Give me the results. Have you done what you committed to do? It gives you a better opportunity to be able to connect and know that I need to keep to the plan. Otherwise, people will never be able to finish what they started off to do. What would be a deal breaker? for you as a mentor or a coach? What would be a real big breaker for you? If someone does what?
Lacks commitment.
Lacks commitment, yeah. Definitely would be a deal breaker. Yeah, someone else? Lacks commitment. Someone else?
I'd say dishonesty for me, because if you're not being honest about your problems, then how exactly can I help you?
It's true, yeah. Dishonesty, not being authentic, that this is it, and not being very clear. You say one thing and you do something else. Dishonesty. Someone else? Deal breaker? Thank you, Kesh. Someone else? A deal breaker in your coaching and mentoring journey? Anybody else?
I think for me is lack of commitment and lack of self-motivation.
Yeah,
I really don't have to push this person to keep, doing what they know they should be doing. Yeah.
Lack of commitment and self-motivation, very true, and that really plays a big role. You don't show commitment, you're dishonest, you don't pull your weight. I am the one doing it, then it's not going to work, definitely. And many more things that we can do, review and correct. It's important for us to have those frameworks. Where do we, how do we allow adequate time to evaluate, review, and improve performance, address shortfalls, failures, and weaknesses? When is the last time you asked for feedback from your team? When is the last time you gave feedback to your team? Feedback is a great gift in the area of mentoring and coaching. We should actually actively, every day, how am I doing, as your coach? How are you feeling? What would you like me to do more? And also giving that feedback to the person you're mentoring and you're coaching, extremely important. But we know that there are two kind of people who are open to feedback and people who are feedback averse. What kind of a person are you? Are you averse to feedback or are you open to feedback? And you can go to the internet. There are many ways to see you as an individual, whether you're open to feedback or you're feedback averse. Any question? And why should we review and correct performance? Review performance, especially at the workplace. Review and correct performance, anyone? So that to address any shortfalls, failures, and weaknesses, and to see where we are, if we are right on track. Okay, so great. So what are some of the responsibilities of a mentor? If you decide to be a mentor, what will be some of your responsibilities, or even a coach? Let's move a bit faster. Time is moving pretty fast. Let's move a bit faster, please. Responsibilities of a mentor. When you think about a mentor, some of the key responsibilities. A real good mentor. When you think about a good mentor, whom would you approach?
They should be able to give us direction.
Be able to give direction. Good. Someone else? Okay. So, key responsibilities, there could be many, not just this. Creating and managing diversity. You have all sorts of people in your team. So how do I make sure that I really make sure that I understand and I understand my team members and be able to look at diversity and inclusivity and borrow some of the policies, a diversity and inclusion program, and ask myself, what kind of a person am I? Do I really stereotype? Am I prejudiced? Do I apply conscious bias? All those kind of things to make sure that you really understand in creating and managing diversity in your team. Turning individuals to team players, how do you make sure that you are an individual, you're employed as Catherine, but how do I turn you into a great team player for us to be able to achieve what we're able to do? Tough questions like someone coming and ask you, but my contract treats Catherine. It doesn't treat Catherine and others. And then you start having that conversation. Would you be able to work on your own? It's important for us to be in a team. We'll be able to achieve more, And then quality management, you cannot overemphasize the fact that one of the responsibilities, quality management in everything that you're doing. Whatever you're going to tell the people, whatever you're going to coach on, you're looking at the quality of the goals that people have set, the quality of the work that they produce, that they're getting better and better at what they are doing, enhancing performance, talking about consequences as well. Sometimes we're so wishy-washy because, I'm mentoring you, I'm coaching you. We should not have any consequences. If I'm really looking at quality of the work and you have the capability to be able to produce good quality work, why wouldn't there be enhanced performance? There should be enhanced performance. And then after that, if there's no enhanced performance, what kind of programs are we putting you on? Are we going to put you on PIP? Are we going to terminate your services after we have tried all these interventions and it's not working? So sometimes we shy away from saying enhancing performance, but also what are some of the consequences that are in our policies to make sure that that is being addressed. And of course, it follows through that creating and managing a diverse team also brings along motivation, and it also brings along innovativeness. Okay, so creating, it's just what we have said, creating and diverse teams, a fearless environment. I like that. Respect, take time out. What is a fearless environment? How can we create a fearless environment? What are some of the things that we can put in place? Anyone? Anyone who has put in place a fearless environment? Anyone? What are some of the things that we can put in place? Please, someone tell me. Are you able to do that? Put in place a fearless environment? Or we just want the status quo to be a little bit more of what we do? Or who's
Probably
supposed to
having a culture that allows for free communication. And yeah, I remember when I was working for a telco at one of the telecommunication companies, I was told, Nancy, when I was at the point when I was being hired, I was told, Nancy, your responsibility is to bring silos down in this organization. Wow. Because people are closed up, people are working just within departments, people are not collaborating with others in other departments and all that. So one of the values that we wanted to bring out was open communication, and we managed to leave those particular, it was a whole culture change process. So we were able to have that particular aspect of culture lived by all employees. There were 4 which came out after survey, the areas that we wanted to work on, and those are the cultures that we needed to inculcate in the organization. So when we got to open communication, there were 4 particular aspects, we call them vital behaviors, that would allow us to improve the culture of the entire organization. And one key thing was lack of open communication. So we call that particular vital behavior complete candor. So we would demonstrate, it was a whole culture change process. So we demonstrated how a complete candor looked like And then when we have these change agents demonstrating this particular, they demonstrate the particular culture, behavior, how it looks like, then we tell employees, now you have to leave this culture for the next 1 month. Then they would nominate winners within departments after that one particular month. Then to ensure that it is institutionalized, then we included these particular vital behaviors in our appraisal, in our appraisal tool. And also we tied it to rewards and all that. So that is how we were able to create now a fearless environment where people are able to speak.
Exactly. Fearless environment where people respect each other, but we know that it points to our values and our strategy and what we would like. The way I'd like to be treated is the same way I would like to be treated. This company does not belong to me and you, it doesn't belong to any one of us, but we own it while we are still here. So what are we supposed to do to make everybody happy? I just don't even understand. I can go on and on around a fearless culture. Why don't we all just be what it is? Why would you want to struggle? And why would you put bridges and roadblocks for us not to be able to be who we are in this organization? You know, nobody's indispensable. Everybody's role is important. And of course, the CEO has a bigger mandate in terms of the responsibilities that he has. The driver also has a mandate to be able to execute his job within the framework of his responsibilities. So when everybody knows that, how do I contribute to this organization, we have a better way of creating a fearless environment, because the culture has been defined. Our behaviors have been defined. If we say that one of our values in integrity, have we defined those vital behaviors around integrity? If we say that one of our values is open communication, have we actually actualized the behaviors around the vital behaviors around open communication? How does it look like? Paint the picture. Let people draw on the wall. Let people articulate and say, whatever, this is how it looks like. However, it doesn't look like this in this organization. And then have that conversation. Why is it not looking like this? What are the bottlenecks that we have put in place? Is because this department and this department does not talk. Or it's because this department did not give us the products in this time. We caught feelings, you know, and maybe these products, well, the supplier did not bring the materials, the raw materials in good time for us to be able to manufacture. They didn't even get, you know, just little miscommunication. But sometimes it can be very deep. And sometimes it's not even about work related. Now it boils down to personalities. Why don't you like Catherine? I just looked at her, I didn't like her. How didn't you just not like her? You know, I told Catherine to do this over and over again. She just doesn't meet deadlines. You know, the way she talks to people is not just the way it's not part of our values, and we say, and because she's senior, there's nothing that we can do to it. We must hold everybody responsible. People in senior positions must really know that they are the ones who set the pace, because nobody tells the king he's naked and nobody speaks truth to power. But when we have a fearless environment where the CEO can actually come and sit with the drivers when maybe all the drivers are back from trips, and sit there and unexpectedly, you know, nimekuja kukunywa chai na nyinyi leo, mnaendeleaje? You know, get to that level. How is it going? You know, I'm just here to find out how you are today. It makes a big difference, you know, but not willing with coming out of the car, habari zenyu, you know, really a deep connection. Habari zenyu, it's fine, you know, but how about taking a little bit of more time connecting to the people, with the people on the ground completely? Ala, CEO alikuja leo. We. Aliwaambia nini? Alisema tu nimekuja kukunywa chai. And how was it? We talked. It was nice. We told him to come more. And the CEO says, come to my office once in a while. You know, when you see in the office, stick in your neck and say, good morning, you know, start creating those connections with people. And all of a sudden, it infuses to everyone. You know, So we must be deliberate in creating a fearless environment.
I can add something, Catherine. I can add something. So in one of the organizations I worked for, there was, we created a decompression room. This particular organization was told, I'm supposed to bring down the silos within, you know, people and within departments. So we created a decompression room, and in this decompression room, there was a television, there was DSTV, there were board games, indoor games. You know, there were like bean bags where people would sit and relax. There was sofa set. So, you know, creating such an environment also allows people to just interact and be personal with each other, hence creating this fearless environment. So it really, really worked, because we encouraged people to, you know, when you're tired, it was not restricted to only lunches or whatever it was. Actually, that was just a place to relax. So even as you come up with strategies like those ones, then you also allow employees to be able to feel free. You know, you're tired, you've worked. It is not even lunchtime. Just go and take a 15 minutes rest or 20 minutes, come back. So it really, really worked. You know, when you back that with just support and not being too strict on, you know, you have to go there during lunchtime or in the evening after work. You make it fluid, such that employees know that I just go there for a few minutes, so that I also don't jeopardize my work or my performance. And then you're able to achieve a lot with that.
Make the interactive working spaces that we are talking about now very high, design thinking spaces, you know, variable desks, you know, I can go and work somewhere at the corner, those variable desks that you can raise them up, you can raise them down, you can take your laptop, plug in there, work, you know, make the environment, you know, you also create the environment to be fearless in some of the things that you are putting in place. Then start talking to your culture and start unpacking it. And you will see how mentorship and coaching will rise to the next level. No doubt. Okay. So turning individuals to team players, make sure that your selection and recruitment policies are very robust. How do you have training and learning activities or programs at your workplace, and actually also motivating them? Quality management, a mentor must aim to take total quality management by taking into consideration various aspects such as contribution, time, authority, support, you know, for making sure that the quality of work that is produced actually meets the criteria and is able to support the business, and the work that you do, I'm able to take it up and continue, and I don't have to think, oh, it has errors, I have to take it back and stuff like that. So self-sufficient people who enjoy their work. Enhancing performance. Performance can be enhanced by synergy, working with the team to maximize output. So input, output, and again, we talked also enhancing performance. And when performance is not really enhanced to the level that is expected, what are some of the things that you put in place to make sure that that is done? Innovation. Mentors should empower the mentee to make them accountable for their innovation process. We are a learning organization. How do we make sure that this learning organization is fluid, it's continuous? Everybody is innovative. I'm not saying that you come up with inventions and whatever, but how creative are you around the processes? How are you creative and energized around your work? You know, this report, I'm supposed to do it in 8 hours, but I know that my organization does not look too much into time. You know, I can work for 6 hours and then the rest of the 2 hours, maybe that's the organization, I'll be gone and I need to do something. So how creative and innovative can you be around your work to get the 2 hours that you want in that day? Because once you deliver, then that's whatever. So it creates that momentum and the zeal for you to be able to move forward, because you need to carve out the 2 extra hours to go and do something that is important for your life. Mentors should motivate mentees to drive high performance. You know, motivate. You're doing well. You need to do more. You've accomplished that. I love it. You're getting better. You're getting even better than me. Please shine away, shine away. And I'll even be inviting you to the next town hall meeting to really give your journey in how you executed that project. You championed it and you did very well. We'll give you an opportunity, motivate people and showcase them when it is the right time. So remember that retention of your mentees whom you are mentoring is 10% of what they read, 20% of what they hear. Just think of when your children at home, 20% of what they see, 50% of what they hear and use, 70% of what they say themselves, 90% of what they say and do. So where would you like to be as a mentee, or even as a mentor and a coach? Where would you like to be? And of course, all of us would like to be at 90%. What they say, you have already mentored them, believing now in their self and turning what you are discussing into reality. You can see tangible results and what they do, So that is how we make sure that we actually turning the wheel and making sure that everybody is getting to what they do, But when they just remain to 10% of what they read, you tell them this, you can read this and get there, they will just get stuck there. What they hear others say and you say as you mentor them, they'll just remain there. But incrementally, you want to raise the bar. And that's why someone says, you need to push, even as a mentee. I need to push, I need to learn. I don't have this person in perpetuity. I need to draw completely what I want to learn and what I want to hear, and then get better at what I want to achieve. Okay? Any question there? Any reaction? Any reaction? Any reaction? Any reaction there? Okay. So, requirements of a mentoring process. How do we, at the workplace, is this something that we use all the time? And some of these things, if you don't have a policy on mentoring and coaching, you can take this and start putting, words into phrases and looking at being very smart, and don't reinvent the wheel. Some of these things and some of our discussions will make it very easy for you to be ahead of time when you go and say, well, I think we need a mentoring program in this organization, a coaching program, and people say, oh, go and write a paper. And then you come up with a brilliant paper. They're just thinking, ooh, who is this? This is the person that we've always known will take us to Canaan. And shine away. Don't ever fail to shine away when an opportunity presents itself. It's a very simple process. Of course, we have to have documentation. We have to have standard goals and goals that we want to achieve. Very, very specific goals. Practical standard format. If we are contracting, we both contract and make sure that we sign off. We communicate. When is it going to be done? What's going to be done? When are you going to have time out? We give feedback, which is very important. And we must be able to remove personal bias. What is personal bias? And some of the examples of personal bias. Personal bias and some of the examples of personal bias. Anyone? Sure. Personal bias. Personal biases, personal bias. Anyone? Anyone who has not spoken? See the chat.
Okay, Catherine, maybe I can say it's when you have already a preconceived notion about somebody or something, which then clouds your judgment of that person or the whole process.
Yeah. So you're already personal bias, clouding, like clouds, you can't see into the sky, today is a very cloudy day, and you can't see that. And then you're not able to be objective. You've already judged. Some examples, Felista, do you have any example?
Okay, maybe I don't know if this one would work. Maybe I have 2 employees. One is really good at their work, and the other one struggles a bit. Yeah. So if both of them maybe approach me to mentor them, then probably I would be more biased towards the one I think is better at what they do than these other one whom I feel maybe I'll struggle. Bringing them up a bit.
Yeah, but in reality, whom should you be taking?
Of course, the one who is struggling.
Exactly, isn't it? Oh, rather, yeah. And half the time, is that what it is? And sometimes I don't even fault managers for picking someone all the time to be able to deliver, because they can rely on that person. They don't even care about that person. Loyalty. All of us are loyal when we're working. We believe all of us are loyal. But work is always being assigned. Anything extra is being assigned to this person. It's because the line manager knows they can rely on them. They will deliver. They are self-directed. They don't complain. What is that complaint in Kiswahili? Kungunika. That one. They're always ahead of the game, and then all of a sudden people start thinking, and this person is favored, the boss's pet. And the boss is not even doing it, he's not even thinking, just thinking, pass it on to that person, But it's important as a manager to make sure that you're balancing that and saying the star in the department for sure. And they do that because there's so much pressure to deliver, not thinking and saying, I shouldn't be doing that. I should be distributing this work a little bit more. It's because they have not mapped out. You remember where we said, do you know your employees' strengths? Do you know their potential? Have you mapped out the next 5 years of your employees' career in your organization? So for you to be able to evenly distribute what it is. But the pressure, and then after that, sometimes it's now start becoming so murky and say, oh, well, give it to that person after all. And that person now start thinking, Allah, am I the one who's always been given this work? Okay, maybe I deserve to be recognized and stuff like that. So it's important for managers to reflect at the end of every day. How have I managed this team? What have I done? What would I have done differently if I was given another opportunity? Would I have? And also the line managers to ask for feedback, and the line manager to go to their line manager and say, how am I doing? Do you think I'm managing well? To go to HR, where are you checking in as an individual from time to time to say, how am I doing? Give me feedback, everyday feedback, performance-based. We're not talking even the annual evaluation or the quarterly or the half year evaluation. We are talking about the real thing that really comes into play, which is giving guidance every day about performance. Someone else? Remove personal bias. Okay. There's a question here. Hi, what was the name of the tool, please? The nine grid box. So, okay. Thanks for that chat. Okay, great. And there are many other biases. People, we like to relate with people of the same social economic status. We like to people of the same kind of personality and build. We like to relate with people of the same tribe, all those, personal biases. And sometimes, and what happens is that because we measure people using our own standards, we miss the real deep connection. We already say, oh, well, they can't do this, so really, they can't meet my standards. Whose standards? Talk about the standards of the organization, and you'll be a better manager. So what should mentors be measuring? And we look at the Balance Scorecard, and don't get confused. It's one of the, whatever you measure, tools that you use in your organization, you can use any tool to be able to measure the success of your coaching and mentoring programs in your organization. So, and because the Balance Scorecard really looks at a whole array of things in the business, you are looking at your customers, isn't it? Who is your customer? Who's your client? What is the primary role of your business? You're looking at the finances. If you are not here, would you be able, you're making money. Why do you want to make money? And the internal processes, who internally, what kind of processes do you have in place? And then the agility of learning and growth around people. So it's an easy way, even when you put in your office, you would want to say, what do I really want to achieve when I'm really mentoring someone in the organization? How are they growing in their function? And if you're looking at the overall growth of the organization, for me to be able to produce that board paper, I need to segment it in the primary source of the business, the bottom line of the business, the processes, the internal processes of the business, and finally, the learning and the growth that is expected to be achieved by people in the business. So this is just one tool that you can use for you to be able to measure the overall performance of the organization. So those are just some of the possible measures if you're looking at how good your customers are satisfied, satisfaction gap analysis, the level of satisfaction, level of importance, satisfaction distribution, from a customer perspective. And that will come from how your products are being consumed or how your services are being consumed. And that information, you can be able to get it from the various departments, having plugged in that what we are doing is coaching and mentoring people in this organization. How is it impacting in our bottom line? Our goods and services being embraced in the market? And is it as a result of these other programs that we have put in place, like the one we've put in place for mentoring and coaching? So the other one, the finance one, is cost per unit. How much are we putting down cost? Optimizing our productivity and the funded requirements for projects. For example, if you work in the NGO, cost of mentee services, how much time are we being able to put into this? If there's a program that we have to put in place, if they're going externally, if they're coming in internally, budget projections and targets. And then internal processes, your quality assurance, your various processes, your flow chart for every process or for every policy in the organization, the cycle time to turn around, completion rate of work, workload, and employee utilization. So these are some just measures that I have picked: transactional per employee, errors, or rework, so even accidents at the workplace. And then finally, overall around learning and growth, possible measures you could be looking at: employee satisfaction, retention and turnover rate. I know this is where many HRs will be interested in, training hours and resources, technology investment. So when you look at your SMT team and say, how is it working for you guys? Which one really resonates with you? Finance people will be looking more in finance, the CEO would be looking at all this, but maybe would be looking at the really primary objective of the business, what is supposed to be his role. And then people in production will be looking at the internal perspective, and of course HR, but it all works towards saying that if we have these programs in place, have we improved as an organization? If we are saying that we want people who are self-sustaining in this organization, they make their own decisions, they sustain those decisions, they're going to look for their own solutions, because as a manager, I have given them the leeway. I have empowered them. I coach, I don't tell. As a mentor, I have actually told this person, this is a good way to do this project. And they have run with it. We have seen the results. How are we measuring that at the end of the day? If you're not measuring the programs that you have put in place, it becomes a bit difficult for you to be able to appreciate the programs and the effort that you have actually put in place. And it just becomes, organization, we coach and we mentor. And then I come and ask you, so what have been the results and how have you actually evaluated them? And you say, well, okay, we really don't have a tool, but we see a change. Well, it's good, but we need to have tangible results year in, year out, picking up the data. Yeah, I said we need to be brave and we need to do the hard work. So I encourage you to do that. Any question? Any reaction there? Any reaction? Are you evaluating? Are we evaluating our programs, or it's just we've put in place, it will evaluate itself, we'll see how it goes? The best way to do so is to have the end in mind, even when we are putting these programs. What are we hoping to achieve and how are we going to put in place? If we park that and say, let's begin and we'll find out as we go along, it becomes very difficult for you to go back and put that in place. Put the whole program in place and then start the program. But if you don't do that, to lose that opportunity to come back and really check whether it is working. And then when the board asks you, you start getting upset, or the board is hard on me, they're asking me to evaluate. They know it's very behavioral driven. It is not behavioral driven. It is both behavioral driven, and sometimes it's a bit difficult to say, to have very clear indicators on behaviors, but on everything else that we have discussed, learning and growth, financial perspective, your primary objective as an organization, you're able to measure that. Any question? Any question? Okay, let's move on. Okay. So what are the parameters? How do you assess our mentee that they're getting better? What are some of the things that you can do to assess a mentee that they're getting better and better at what they're doing? If you had a mentor, or if you had a mentee or a coachee, how would you know that they're getting to where you would like them to get? What are some of the things that you put in place or you observe? What are some of the things that you would put in place to observe?
I think one of the things you would want to see is whether your mentee is growing.
Whether your mentee is growing, what specific thing would you put in place?
For me, the one specific, I'm thinking about it practically, is feedback. I would want my mentee to be able to give me feedback when they are, sometimes when they are getting challenges and how they have overcome them. I think that's what I would do.
Yeah, like what you say in coaching, when they reach their aha moment, you are just like, ooh, that's really good. Even in the department, you say, boss, let me tell you, yesterday I cracked it and that's it. I got the solution. Everybody is in a celebratory mood. Everybody feels happy about it. Yeah. So I think there are many ways. Any mentoring process monitors the mentees and evaluates them in various measurement parameters like, your self-development, communication skills, emotional intelligence, personal effectiveness, creative and innovative thinking, leadership qualities, managing of teams, presenting information and influencing others. Let me just go through them, all of them, and then we pick one or two that really are dear, especially in the business. All of them are important. Managing and leading change, personal brand, commercial awareness, being a very entrepreneurial, you have the business acumen, mentoring and developing others, building relationship, being a very good strategic thinker, developing the organization, managing performance, and business skills. Okay, so I'll go back. And how would you evaluate? Pick any and say, how would you evaluate maybe self-development? There were goals, they've been able to achieve that. Pick any and maybe just expound on it and say how would success look like in any of them if this is what we were trying to achieve and this is what the outcome has been. Or even just saying, well, they struggled in this area and it's still not going well. Anyone? Pick any. Pick any. Pick any. Emotional intelligence, very important. Managing of teams, all of them are important. Influencing others. How would that work? How do we see that working? Anyone? Pick any and say, how would you evaluate them and say, well, anything around emotional intelligence, what would they have been lacking and you wanted to institute or to help?
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. My name is Collins.
Hi, Collins.
Yeah, probably I'll pick two, the leadership qualities and managing of teams. In leadership, probably you can see some of the initiatives that they are coming up with. How are they aligned to the bigger organization strategic focus? And how well are they executed? And then in managing teams, probably we could also look at their teams, the feedback that we get from the team members, and the quality of the feedback that we are getting and the initiatives therein. So in my thinking, it will be in leadership, how well is their initiatives aligned to the bigger corporate strategic focus, and how well are they executed? Yeah.
Yeah, very true. Thanks, Collins. I think that's really spot on. Leadership qualities, are you developing those characteristics of great leaders and also looking at the competency pillars in organization? If we say a leader should be a self-starter, should have tenacity, what are some of the things that you're really putting in place that are really speaking to those leadership qualities and developing them? I came not having one of them, or even I had two, but now, I'm able to make this decision. This was a real hard decision for me to make, Another one, just like what Collins has said, I'll take another one of conflict management. And there was conflict between these two, and I was able to manage that. And previously I was not being able to manage, but through the mentoring and coaching programs that have been put in place, I can see myself getting better and better. And managing teams, this was the team that I got. This is the team I'm leading. And this team now is producing more work. Everybody thinks, oh, this team now, the feedback that you're getting, very, very, very important. I like those examples. Someone else, pick any. Emotional intelligence, which is really dear to me. Anyone would like to pick that? How we check in our bright and our dark sides, Being very self-aware of who we are as individuals. Anyone would like to pick that with an example?
Good morning, Catherine.
Morning.
My name is Benjamin. Let me choose the self-development and communication skills. Once you mentor somebody on self-development, and you can see that the person can able to arrange and plan programs on its own or on own without being reminded again and again. That means that person is ready now to handle issues. If, for example, a junior staff can come to work, to the activities, close the day, keep a feedback and report without you following them up. Then communication skills is somebody now can give feedback correctly as you assigned them to do. So it means they can communicate, they can talk to their seniors, to their juniors, whichever level in the organization, correctly without doing things which is not correct, which is not asked them to do. So mentorship is very important on self-development and communication skills. This can also help this person to be promoted to the next level. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, self-development, being very self-motivated to do what needs to be done. Nobody keeps reminding you that you need to do this, and also giving out precise work, communicating effectively, through writing, verbal, non-verbal, written communication, being very precise to what you're going to say, being aware of the 7 C's of communication, very important in terms of how do I communicate, when do I communicate, it's not all the time that we should be communicating, and what's the culture of how do we communicate in this organization? What kind of communication culture do we have? The protocols of communication, knowing really when to communicate and when not communicate. Thank you, both of you. I think that was really well captured. Anybody else who would like to pick anything from this other one? Managing and leading change, very important, in any organization. Strategic thinking. Anyone would like to pick one or two just to wrap up this area?
So in terms of managing performance, you will be looking at how they are goal setting, how they're setting goals, how a manager is setting goals with the employees. Are these goals smart? And then we will look at, are they having conversations on regular basis with their direct reports? We'll be looking at feedback. How are they taking feedback even from the employees? And then are they supporting, are they mentoring enough? Are they mentoring the employees or coaching them to bridge any gaps that there may be in terms of performance? And if they're not performing, what measures have they put in place to develop them or to exit them?
Yeah, I like that. Develop them or to exit them. Bravery, Well, before we exit you, we will have put in place some of the measures. So managing performance.
Can I ask something?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yes, now, looking at the parameters to assess these mentees, I have a question. The goal of the mentoring relationship, is it to develop a copy of myself or to bring out the best in the person I am mentoring? And when I'm bringing out the best, I am cognizant of the fact that that best may not necessarily be a Xerox version of myself.
Definitely. I think, okay, I can throw it to plenary. Are we creating another Dolly? Or are we creating, when they created Dolly, they cloned called Dolly, that famous sheep. When we are mentoring and we are coaching very different. When we are mentoring, are we trying to create a Xerox of me, or are we trying to create the full potential of this person, holding their hands and holding the ropes?
I think where the mentee ultimately will get to, whatever level they will get to is dependent on their drive. Because as a mentor, you're imparting skills that you have. But wherever they will go, it's up to them. There's a lot of personal development that has to go, they have to go through, even at individual level. So it is not a replica of yourself, but if they are content with that, then it could remain at that. But if they want to be better, then it's a personal choice, it's a personal initiative that they'll need to take to get to whatever level they have, they want to get to, as long as they have the basics to perform a job. Just a thought.
Yeah, just a thought. Okay. Someone else? Even when you think about yourself, why do I want to be mentored? Why do I take up a mentor? Why do I take up a coach? And the line manager is expected, on the flip side also at the workplace, the line manager is expected to mentor and coach his team. What is he expected to do? Someone else? Very good question coming from Collins. Based on our definition of mentoring, our definition of coaching, looking at your strategy, looking at the culture in your organization, looking at different personalities in the organization, and also making sure that these programs are working for you in the organization. We can't just have programs, we invest money, we invest time, we want the best for people, but we also must see a return on our investment. A lot of things coming into play. Someone else?
I think, Catherine, maybe just to comment, I think when you're coming up with that mentorship program, where you said the objectives have to be very clear, so that then now you don't use your own personal judgment to create a clone of yourself, because you're very clear on what you want to achieve. Yeah, and it should be very specific, maybe skill-based.
Yeah,
that's what I would say.
What is our end? Yeah, thank you, Felista. That's very good, Nancy and Nancy and Felista. Someone else?
Yes, Catherine, I feel we are mentoring people to attain their full potential. Remember, as mentors, to be mentoring people even in different fields from our own. So then there's no clowning coming up, because we are helping this person to be them, to stand on their own, but to bring out that is best in them. I've met some people who are very good, but they never get to know they are good, because of course they have things that hinder them. They have something covering their eyes. So they keep taking to the minimum. They keep doing the bare minimum without thinking they did it to their best. They will really stand out. So that's what we are doing. We're helping this person, just like we help our children. We don't help our children to become us. We help them to become something that we can see in them. If you have a child who can sing and you never sang even in the Sunday school choir, you don't stop them. You grow them to that singing and they become the best in that. And I think that's exactly what we should be doing with our mentees, just helping them in that area that they can stand out, to really stand out and do it to their best. Yeah.
So the objective of the program, what we want to achieve in people, is for them to reach their full potential. Think of your phone. Look at your phone and even touch your phone right now. How many, it has such capability that you only use a fraction of what your phone is capable of doing. And the functions there, half of them, you'll never use them in the lifetime of that phone, and I'm sure you, some of you are the ones who use maybe their phone 2 years, 3 years, it starts slowing down. You say, well, let me go and look for another phone. For me, when you think about my phone, is to receive calls, maybe send messages, do some online transactions here and there, and that's it. There is much more than your phone can do for you. That's the same as that we are saying that at the workplace is that people have such capability and such potential. How are we able to help them reach that potential? By nudging them, putting up these programs, sharing our experiences, letting them explore on their own and sustain that. But at the same time, we're also saying, what is the shift we want to see in this organization? The shift around people taking care of their own self-development. When we come to evaluate, they are better than last year. They have more emotional intelligence to connect. They know that, well, I'm an impatient person, but when I come to work in this organization, I'm expected to show some patience with the people that I am working in so that I do not antagonize people. How is that? I have been taught, I've been maybe buddied up with someone who is very good with patience, and I'm able to learn from them. So we are not trying to clone people to be who we are, because again, that will not achieve our objectives, but we are trying to create a real ideal environment for us to be the best in the market. Talking fearlessly and bravely and coming and saying, we'll put together these programs for people to get to the next level. Okay. Collins, does that answer your question? Does that give you a good perspective? And I know you wanted to throw it out there because of, are we supposed to be evaluating people on all these? These are some of the areas that we can evaluate people on. If they say, well.
My question has been answered somewhat, because ideally we are looking at developing a mentoring program. We don't have one in place. And the challenge that we are dealing with is who is going to be the benchmark for or the ideal mentor, so that he or she can mentor the others. So that is the reason why I actually asked.
Okay.
Oh, and sorry, it's Agri, not Collins.
Oh, Agri, sorry, Agri. I like what you have said. We are trying to develop that. And that's why I say, be very clear and very ready in terms of the objective. Have you checked into your culture, your environment, who's coaching who? Lead managers expected to coach and to mentor. Do they know, do they have the skills to mentor and to coach? Who wants to be coached? Again, you cannot go to a coach if you don't want to be coached. Half the people, sometimes you come and say, HR wamenituma hapa. Isn't that how it goes, Nancy? Even all of you. HR wamenituma. Sijui ni wamenitumia, sijui coaching. Iko kitu inaitwa coaching. You even squint your eyes like this. It's always like, it's always HR, you know. But you as the coach, what, I like to turn those things around, because some people are just not ready for coaching. And we have that discussion and said, no, I'm not ready. This is not the intervention. And this is what, and as a coach, you need to be very clear and very fair and transparent and say, it's not good for you right now. Let's look for another intervention. Maybe this is the intervention that will work for you. And you tell people, go and think about it, research a little bit more and say, and yeah, well, this HR was not wrong. Let's try this. And they enjoy it, and they get converted and whatever. Again, even if you're going to put a buddy program in your department, let's say orientation or just to make people whatever, there are many things that you need to put to think about. You know, you might just pair someone with someone that they don't gel, they don't like. So all these initiatives are good, but they need to be really well thought out. Don't be in a hurry. After all, the organization has existed 50 years. Thinking about this program for another 12 months won't hurt you. It will just make sure that you are ready for it. And what is the communication strategy that you are putting in place? Are you getting the buy-in from the top? Have you gotten buy-in from the people? Are people excited about it? Does everybody understand what is expected of them? And throw it, I'm sure you have in pockets here and there in every organization. When you ask, you have it, oh, it happens in isolation. I see other people asking, you know, stuff like that. So how are you now amalgamating it all together to come to life and to make sure that it's actually going to serve your organization? So I see a good job ahead of you, an exciting one, a challenging one, and I think you're in the right place for you to pick up the tips, the hoops and the loops on how to make sure that it's going to work for you and anybody else who is intending to put up these programs at your workplace. Okay. Agre, anything else?
I think we can also do some sport coaching, you know, just to make it informal so that it is not so formal at the beginning before people get used to the idea of sitting down and signing confidentiality agreements and probably, you know, all those questions. So if you can start lighter, it can be better. So through sport coaching, you ask someone on the go. It's not formal, but yet it is very effective. So bit by bit, we begin building the blocks, you know, one brick, we put another one, and, you know, eventually then we can become successful. once they've
Exactly.
understood what it is. But if you make it too formal, then people try to shy away. They see it as something that is time consuming and all that.
Yeah, and the thing is that you've just been very spot on. Thank you for bringing that. Informal at the coffee pot, at the town hall meeting. Who wants to volunteer? And you say, why do you volunteer? Because I want to build this skill. Don't make it too formal as we are starting. Those pockets are there. That's what I'm saying. We already have those discussions. This department really excels. What does the manager do? The manager just lets people be. What do you mean by the manager lets people be? The manager tells you to go and research. Oh, okay. And you start thinking through, what has helped us in the past, and then you start maybe, can we formalize it, guys? Yes, I think it's time to formalize it so that everybody plugs in and has an opportunity, and make everybody understand. And the thing is that coaching is not for poor performers. No. Coaching is not for poor performers. Coaching is very, very intentional around building people's potential. Poor performance have other interventions, and of course, coaching could be one of the methods of when we identify that you are struggling in this area, and then we come and build a goal around that area that you are struggling or being challenged. But it's not because, take them for whatever. If you want poor performers, there are many other interventions, find out, put them on PIP, give them targets, let them achieve them and stuff like that. Mentoring, the same thing for poor performers, and let's not panic and say, we are not doing well as an organization. We need to institute these two programs. It's where it's going to make us whatever. It should be deliberate. They should be natural conversations. People should be able to understand what they are, and everybody should be able to embrace them. Yeah, natural conversations like the way you have a nice cup of coffee with your friend whom you have not seen in how many months? In a month. Your best friend, when you plug in, it's just like you were with them yesterday. That is what we want to see at the workplace. So I will quickly go on to whatever. And of course, we know types of performance level. People are satisfactory, unsatisfactory, and congruent around what you are supposed to be doing. So it's very important that before beginning to mentor someone, a mentor should assess the cultural background of the employee, so because sometimes it's important for us to have that connection. Cultural background does not mean that the cultural background from what you believe, your perceptions, your traditions, your beliefs and stuff like that, and what has led you here. You should be well aware of information regarding the people you're about to mentor. This is because each individual is different in terms of language, literacy, and numeracy. The LLN learning skills in your organization, the learning style, people like us, some people like to be more visual. I learn things, I learn with more spoken. I learn with a combination of visual and verbal, and possible disabilities that I may have. Hence, a mentor, you should know these factors to enable you ensure that everybody can get mentored in the environment you provide them. So it talks to your environment and the kind of culture that you have in your organization, and the people themselves. You need to understand the people's personality. And finally, for today, I would like us to end it here. Causes of performance problems, and why sometimes we really struggle with some of our mentorship and coaching programs, substance abuse, it could be, it's a reality. People's wellness is very important, and they could be going through some difficult moments. You need to address that, then they will not be ready for mentoring and coaching. Lack of time on both parties, we've already said that. Familiarity with equipment and processes of how it is done, we want to bring all these things and we have not equipped people with what to do. Low motivation, who should be motivating you? It's a two-way traffic. I motivate myself. I'm a self-motivated person. I see that a lot. I love hearing those kind of things. And then creating an environment to enable people sustain their self-motivation. Personal problems, work-related, socially related, family related. Some people really do have poor work ethic. You know, you cannot rely on them. Poor peer relationships, they don't relate well with their peers or even their seniors and their juniors, and just lack of ability because they've been placed in the jobs which they don't have the ability for. But I was told, promote Catherine. What do? I gave the contract. I looked this way, and mi staki shida. Wacha ende ajule uko mbele. Tutapambana tukienda uko mbele. And that person lacks the ability to be able to execute the role. So, and there could be many others. Definitely, we could. I'll open it up to further discussion. So that will definitely not give you a good platform for you to be able to be successful in your mentoring and coaching programs. Any question? Reaction? There could be many, many more. Reaction? Reaction? Reactions? Okay. So tomorrow I will just to set the pace for tomorrow, we'll start with some of the principles of the mentoring process. And then we will also talk about factors that affect the process. And we should be able to look at the criteria for evaluating the mentoring and coaching programs as we wind up here. Okay. Any questions? Any reaction? Was it useful? Was it interesting? What did you pick from today that you will try and reflect on today as we come back tomorrow? Anyone?
Catherine.
Yes.
Is punishing or disciplining an employee for not performing part of mentoring process or program?
Say that again, Benjamin. If punishment
or taking a disciplinary action against the employee because of poor performance or other issues, part of mentoring process or program.
What do the others think? Is punishing others because of lack of performance part of mentoring and coaching programs? Reaction.
Okay, I think before you get to that part of punishing the person, you need to have walked a journey with them. And I would call that now the journey, the mentoring process, before you take the next step of a disciplinary action. So probably you've put them on a performance improvement program, you've worked with them, you've put them maybe on a performance watch, you've attached them to someone who can train them. Then now that as a last resort.
Thank you, Felista. Someone else? Someone else? Our reactions are always our knee-jerk reactions. Anyone else would like to? One of the things that we should remember is that we want, at the workplace, we don't want to punish. We want to make sure that the discipline that we bring around our performance improvement processes are really bespoke around our culture and our culture and our strategy. So by the time someone is being put on PIP, they really must have exhibited for a long time, that kind of behavior or that kind of poor performance, because we are giving feedback from time to time. We are showing them what's supposed to be done. We've put this, all these programs in place to try and help the person. But mentoring and coaching are really everyday interventions that we should be doing to help people reach their full potential. You know, it's, and people reaching their full potential means that they really do understand their strengths and their weaknesses. They have these tasks that they need to do, and how do I push myself to be the best at what I am doing? So as much as one of the end results of having mentoring and coaching programs at your workplace is to overall improve your organizational performance, one of them is it's not a place that I have coached you, I have mentored you, and these are the results that you continue to produce. You know, those kind of conversations and discussions will actually come to naught, because everybody will think, oh, you're actually coaching us and mentoring us, and then you are closely watching our performance, not watching what I'm capable of achieving and doing, and then you're going to punish me if I don't do it. Then it will not be in tandem to what we are trying to achieve. So our everyday ability to look at people's performance and tell them that you're not doing well, you need to do more, here you failed, and by the time we are putting you on PIP, it means really, by the time you agree to be put on PIP, you must really be someone who's really weak in terms of what you are supposed to be doing. Either the job does not fit you, or you just have a very poor attitude towards work and the organization and your peers, and even you as an individual. So by the time you're putting you on PIP, but even before we put someone on PIP, have you taken the opportunity to find out about duty of care? Maybe they are going through some things that really has led them to dropping balls. You remember where we've seen that why poor performance comes about? They might be having some personal problems. So have we really looked into that to make sure that that is being addressed? So Benjamin, I would be very hesitant to point that PIP is a function of a core function around mentoring and coaching, because mentoring and coaching is really looking at people reaching their potential, making themselves better as individuals, and also in the technical field that they're supposed to be contributing towards the organization objectives. That's a good question. Thank you. Anybody else? Thank you for all the chats that we put on all the chats. Really good, quite informative session. Grace, perspective.
Hello.
Yeah. Yes, Moses.
I have a quick one.
Yeah.
So this was very good. Thanks for the process. Quick one. How, you see, we are in different organizations and we have different industries that we're in. So my worry or my question would be, how do we tailor make this? Because when someone is sent to a HR for mentoring or coaching, they will feel that they're on their way out, right? You see, we in different industries. For them, they will not understand. It's like being told, "Hey, you are poor at this," or you know. So they will not easily translate that to being productive. So they will feel like it's their way out. It's like they're being sent out or they might be in a risk of losing their jobs. How do you tailor make this to fit it's in not all, but industries in general, different industries in general? Yeah, thanks.
It's a good question. First, Mose, let's all agree here that by the time someone is being sent to HR, don't receive them on their own. They should be coming in tow with their line manager. You get what I mean? Why do line managers put the monkey on our back after they have messed up there? That's why us being strong business HR partners to line managers will elevate some of these tasks that they want to put on HR. And I know what you mean, Moses. I mean, you go to HR and sometimes, well, maybe they've had that discussion and maybe it's time for HR to take up the file and to see what needs to be done. But what I can say is that mentoring and coaching programs are the generic platform that we sit on is the same. It doesn't matter which industry you come from, whether it's for profit, non-profit, government, whatever, small SME, family-owned businesses, even the church. You know, this is a program and a part of our culture and making it very deliberate, you know, and saying in our organization, we are continuously learning. We are an agile, if we start from the premise that we are an agile learning organization, what do we want to see for our people? We want to see the best for people, and what are some of these programs that we can put in place? So after that, where we understand what is our strategy and what is our culture, how would mentoring and coaching work internally for us? You get what I mean? So how does it work internally for us in the manufacturing industry? Is there anything that is so distinct in the manufacturing industry that we need to borrow? Are there some regulations, rules, and rules and regulations that must be adhered to? Is it the same in the agriculture industry? So making it very personalized for our industry and also our company, very bespoke. You know, now this is the second time I'm talking about saying the word bespoke, being very whatever. But the generic process is the same of bringing in mentors. I mean, it's someone who's more experienced than you. A coach is someone who has the skills to coach, understands what coaching is. A manager is someone who has all these competencies around coaching and mentoring. The whole organization has embraced that. Hey, at the town hall meeting, we've started conversations about now mainstreaming coaching and mentoring in organization. How does it look like? And then someone says, no, it can't work. We don't trust each other. They've said, they've actually told us to choose external and internal, you know, and now start talking. Because if a culture is not right, if people do not understand your strategy in a nutshell, then some of these programs will become a bit harder to implement. It's first, the basis should be right. And then after that, we do what? Now we start putting up these programs. But again, you can see what is very specific, some of things which are very specific in manufacturing that we need to be adhering to. I think manufacturing is very, very high on health and safety, because maybe machines and stuff, at their mentorship and deliberate discussions that would happen for people to be their awareness to be very heightened around health and safety. I'm not saying that health and safety is not important anywhere else. You know, if you are an education institute, it means that we need to be very very alert about research and reading. Do we have a culture of reading in this organization? Do people enjoy doing that? And if it's not part of our culture, how do we start creating that so that even when we start mentoring, then it's much easier for people to embrace it? It's the same thing as I said as a coach. If someone comes and says, I'm a doctor and I'm not a doctor, would I be more inclined to find out what's happening in the medicine world? What do doctors, what do doctors like? What's the general perception about doctors? You know, the good thing about doctors, for me to be able to relate with that coachee who is a doctor whilst I'm not a doctor. That's what I would say. Someone else?
Yeah, I would like to add on to.
Yeah,
I would like to add on to what you have said, Catherine, and it's very, very valid. So as HR practitioners, we need to begin with strategy. And when we have learning and development or training and development as part of our strategy, then you outline way beforehand what it means. So you'll have your development strategies such as mentoring, coaching. You could have special assignments. There's mobility programs that allow, if, for example, to move into another country for 6 months and from there, the same country to move here, like an exchange program. So once that is properly laid out, and once the employees know that that these programs are not necessarily for underperformers, then they'll embrace them, because they are not. It could be just a developmental program. You want people to develop. It is not for underperformers only. So when someone is going through if a line manager recommends either mentorship or coaching, it doesn't necessarily mean that this person is underperformer. Why? Because clearly from the onset, it was outlined. It is clear that this is a strategy, and it could either be to develop or to bridge a performance gap. So it begins by strategy and education, communication. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Someone else?
Yes, Catherine. I hear Moses very well. I hear you. I hear Nancy. And I can maybe feel Moses a lot, where it can be coming from. There are organizations where training and development are nowhere. They are nowhere to be found. You work in an organization for over 5 years. You have never seen any trainer there. You have never seen anyone going for training. So then in that case, if you come in as a new HR, you find a problem before you find your footing, because you're even wondering, now, how do I start even introducing this? And that's why then staff are looking at it like when they're sent to HR, they're just on exit. It's a practice. You spoke a lot about culture, and I love that. Because actually the difference between performing organizations and those that are not performing, or the turnover in organizations, is just the culture. Somewhere people don't feel appreciated. Somewhere people do not know where they're going. Because training and development is not just for a particular class of people or a cadre in an organization. It's for everyone, even for the management. I'm sure we are all here this morning because we want to learn, because we are seeking more knowledge. There are places where that is meant to feel like it's a crime. If you're seeking more knowledge, you even go to HR or go to your manager asking for as little as you have paid for this course here today, or even for time off. You are ready to pay for yourself. You're just asking for time off, and you don't see that. So of course, when you are sent to HR, things are big, And I love the statement you made. If you are sending someone to me as the HR, please come with the person, because how am I supposed to know? It will just be gossip. It will be grapevine. You have come, told me your story. You are sending a person to come and tell me their story. Why don't we see the three of us and just come up with some strategy? And Nancy, thank you so much for talking about the strategy. But I can tell you, Nancy, I've worked in a number of organizations. They all come in different pictures, different forms. And Moses, that's not to discourage you. That's to tell you, Catherine has said it clearly. Let's be brave. Let's move in. Let's push it. As much as we want to put bread on the table, at times it may not work for us professionally, that we can just sit and bring the bread and not growing professionally. Thank you. And this has been a perfect session, especially for those of us who are looking at going to this field. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Can I add something small, Catherine? Just one last statement. So about organizations where there are no HR initiatives, because I've worked for startups mostly, it's not easy. I've not worked for corporates. Mostly it's startups, organizations that have been in existence for 5 years or max 10 years, or even less, even 2 years, even 1 year. So where the starting point is for you as a new HR practitioner. You're getting into an organization where there's nothing. First and foremost, what I do is to conduct a survey. And this survey, it will capture all areas. And once the survey results are out, I analyze very well. Then I go to the CEO and discuss the findings. And if he is agreeable to all these findings, then the members of staff also have to know that these were the findings and this is what we are looking to do. So to get buy-in, it has to be tangible. It cannot be from you. It has to be from the, from the other members of the organization. Just start by doing a survey. It has worked for me. you will be able to change things around from that point and just prioritize things in terms of the intensity. Once you have your survey, you've done your analytics, you have your graphs, pie charts or whatever, bar graphs and all those things, then you're able to get buy-in and just tell the managers that, you know what, we just want to turn around this organization. We just want to perform optimally. And even for training, if there's no budget, it doesn't have to be paid training. It can be internal mentorship programs. It doesn't have to be, something expensive. You just tell them, you get buy-in by telling your boss that we'll begin at this level, that, okay, we have people who are very skilled in certain areas. For example, we had people conducting Excel trainings up to advanced level just within the organization. It doesn't have to cost money. So we always have to leverage on low-hanging fruits. Those are the ones that we need to pick. Then bit by bit, once they start seeing transformation and once they start seeing impact in the business, then they're able to at least set aside a budget after a while. So we just need to begin somewhere. Yeah.
Very true. Yeah. We all have to begin somewhere. We need to go in and find our footing, where our footing will be quickly felt, and who is on our side, who's going to support us, who's going to champion some of those things. So never easy, but always very gratifying. And I would like to end it and say, culture eats strategy for lunch, dinner, lunch, breakfast, dinner, and everything. There is no way you can have a good, fantastic strategy and your culture is broken. Until you fix that, then only now you start having all these other add-ons really working for you. So thank you so much. Going away sharpened, definitely. We hope to see you tomorrow. I would like you to pick one thing that you'll be reflecting on today as we come back tomorrow for the rest of the session. Very beautiful day to all of you. God bless you. And thank you for all the chats. Keep them coming. Thank you for the appreciation and thank you for the questions. So see you guys tomorrow. Have a good day. Take care. Voila.
Good day too.
Bye. Good day. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.